Welcome to Weapons of Meme Destruction Podcast, episode 206, which can be found at wmdpodcast.com/206. You can get the audio only on any podcast catcher. Just search Weapons of Meme Destruction, and you can get the video on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, and X. David, am I sitting in front of you now? Is that what your eyes are telling you?
What do you mean?
Or is this the Matrix? Am I a hologram? Am I AI?
I don't know.
A figment of your imagination?
You could be. I didn't even think about that until you said it. Now that you said it, I don't even think you're real at all. I think this whole thing has been fucking 206 episodes of me being tricked.
I'm starting to think that about the entirety of what was formerly known as reality at this point.
Yeah. Oops, there goes gravity. But yeah, it's getting twisted. I believe we started this podcast in 2020, right? Or 2019.
Yep, just on the verge of the election.
COVIDity. Yeah, on the verge of the election. That's right. Yeah. You're right. So
yeah, no, COVID was full effect when we already started.
Yeah. Well, funny story. True too. We keep thinking that's the craziest that it's going to get. There's no way it can get crazier. And sure as shit, we get proven wrong each and every time. And to greater effect too. It seems like they're just up in the ante. Like I can't even keep up with that as the world burns anymore, you know?
Maybe we all just need to collectively stop thinking it can't get any crazier, because at this point, God is just like, all right, is that what you think? Is that what you really think?
You want me to turn up
the volume?
Kick
it up a notch.
You think that's it? Okay. I haven't even sent the locusts yet. Wait until you see the frogs. They're going to kick the shit out of you.
So what we're talking about this week is basically all of the establishment telling you not to believe your eyes and ears.
Attraction. Well, I keep falling in like man crushes with seals. I got to stop that shit.
Yeah, stop
I wanted to talk to you about that. It's becoming an issue. Like every week it's a new one. I'm like, God damn it. I can't fucking look up to him too. But anyway, sorry. I just want to get that off my chest. If we can't be honest here on a podcast in front of literally five of people, like what are we doing here?
Notwithstanding the amazing physical and mental achievement that it is to get the status of SEAL or any sort of like special forces, full respect for that, for just being able to go through that and survive it.
Right.
At the end of the day, not a whole lot separates them from your average everyday crayon-eating grunt in terms of these politicians that are sending me off to kill other people that I have no beef with probably have my best interest and the best interest of America in mind.
Dane?
So,
okay.
I'm just saying.
All right.
There's better people to make heroes out of.
All right.
Like Ron Paul.
One of the fuckers that sends him over to get bloated up? Huh?
No. Not Ron Paul.
He didn't.
Never voted for
the position that he held. They do that all the time. That's the real issue.
That's what I'm
the real
saying.
Issue.
I liken Ron Paul to like a modern day Marcus Aurelius in the sense that Aurelius had immense power, could have gotten anything he wanted, and he chose not to. He chose to, deny, founder of Stoicism, blah, blah, blah,
sure.
Right? In a very real sense, although Ron Paul wasn't like the emperor of the known world, if you sell out, there's a lot incentivizing you to do that, to basically have the world at your fingertips. So to forego that takes an immense amount of moral character that is laudable. A personal characteristic to look up to. And there might, again, I'm not saying there's not personal characteristics to look up to in special forces people. I'm just saying that at bottom, they were still naive enough to say, oh yeah, I think the politicians really got this next war figured out that I'm getting ready to go kill.
I don't think they thought it through that much. And when you're 18,
that's the problem.
Bubba, like we've said it 1,000 times, like being a SEAL would be awesome if you didn't have to do the government's fucking bidding. Like some of the stories that they tell, like the post-war stuff, it's fucking horrific. But
yeah,
you're also a fucking walking badass, which is nice. It's a nice thing to know. It's like when they pin that thing on you, you're like, okay, this is legit. I can legitimately think that I'm a bad. I can't walk around and say it, but
absolutely.
I did this.
It's an amazing accomplishment.
Pin a Superman thing on my chest or a Batman. Why would I go Superman first?
I don't know.
Should obviously go back. God, I've let myself down.
Now that you're getting ready to enter your dad era, you are really slipping, David.
Look away, guys.
You're really slipping.
Sorry, Batman.
So anyway, but
Sorry,
David,
Bruce.
before David derails us too much further,
That's what I do.
What we're talking about this week is the circle jerk love affair with Kamala Harris, and now
those are my lines.
Tim Walz, her VP, although we're not talking about Walz that much this week, but just this love affair that the media has. And again, we say this all the time. It's almost like if there isn't a literal one that goes out, it's something just short of an absolute memo that goes out to all these media personalities all at the same time, because they just flip a script on a dime. And not only do they all say the same thing, they say exactly the same words.
Right.
And it's just weird. If that isn't weird to you, whether you're on the left, the right, or whatever, it should be weird to you that everybody think, like all the established opinion, think something one thing 1 second, and then 5 seconds later, they think the complete opposite of that thing.
And will say that they've always thought that, never thought the other way. But that's their superpower, though. That's the wonderful, that's literally what the liberals are. That they just say the thing that everyone else says, lockstep, which is good if you're on a team that's going in the right direction, but it's bad if you're on a team that's going in the wrong direction.
Yes, I agree with that in the sense that that's absolutely what liberals do. I will say, though, that the cult of personality around Donald Trump is also very similar in the sense that
absolutely,
like leading right up to the Iowa primary, when it was, when Vivek was still on the ballot and at least had enough popular support that it looked like he might do something, Trump comes out hard against him. And then everybody that loves Trump hates Vivek. And then Vivek drops out after the Iowa primaries. And then, it supports Trump, starts stumping for him around the country, stuff like that. And then it's all Vivek is great. Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
If you allow a politician to say, we hate this guy and you hate that guy, and then the politician 5 minutes later says, we like that guy and you like that guy, there's something off in your head.
Or if you say you love a politician ever, like, really, have you met him?
Except for Ron Paul.
Well, whatever. We've all got our hypocrisies in
there
us.
Are exceptions that prove the rule.
It's like what I said to Grandma this weekend on our conversation. It was the problem with this election is that you have two sides. One side is it's become a religion to them, where the religion doesn't have any principles, but the only thing that it's based on is that you believe everything that we say without question all the time. As long as you do that, you're on. You can be a part of us. That's one side. And they think that they're right and they have the moral high ground and yada, yada, yada. They always think that they're right. And then you have the other side where a lot of individuals think that there's one Messiah that's going to fix all of our problems in one fucking 4-year election or 4-year term. And neither side are really concerned with being a part of reality at all anymore.
No.
So but I still get yelled at because I'm throwing my vote away. That's where we're at. Like, both of these sides have been driving us down a certain cliff or a certain road that we know there's a cliff at the end of it for 200 years now. And I'm the crazy one because I'm like, maybe we should try a side road. Maybe we should just try something different. Maybe reverse. I don't know.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice that we try something different and expect different results.
Right.
But anyway, so this love affair with Kamala, we're going to play a couple clips for you because again, if you were even remotely paying attention past like 2 weeks ago, she was, almost universally reviled, even by her own party. In the 2020 election, in the primaries, before she dropped out, she never got above 2% of the vote in any of the state primaries that she was in for as long as she was. So she was roundly and universally rejected by her own party. We're not even talking about a general election and having to appeal to voters in the middle and blah, blah, blah. We're talking about just Democrats voting for Democrats. They didn't like her one bit. Now, again, I know you're not supposed to say DEI hire anymore, but when somebody is that hated by your own party, why would you then select that person to be VP? Talking about Joe Biden. It's because she checks boxes. Like, we can call it what it is. anybody that is, again, remotely paying attention to how this, oppression Olympics things works, and as long as you check all the boxes, then you win the gold medal. That's exactly what she was. There was nothing about her political career or her individually that showed that she had the mental capacity or let alone the temperament to serve as a vice president, let alone a president of the United States. But here she is because, boxes are checked.
But then she won an award.
That's the world we live in these days.
She won an award. You know what that
And
award
what was that
was?
award?
That she was the lowest approved vice president of all time with 28% approval rating.
Yeah.
So, she wasn't suited for the job. And then she went in there and proved everybody right that she wasn't good for the job. And then
she is the definition of failing upwards.
Right. So, and then I don't know. It felt like they were hiding her more than they were hiding Biden for the last couple of years. It was like after she did that, the passage of time thing. And then, by the way, I don't want this to get lost because, my brain is slippy. What do they call it? Slopey? My brain is slopey. It was too slopey for that shooter to be.
Smooth-brained?
No. Too slopey for the shooter. Anyway, shit, I might have just talked myself out of what I was going to say.
See? I didn't even do it to you.
But no, I got it back. The next time you listen to her, envision a fifth grader that didn't read the book that's trying to give an auditory book report to the rest of the class. So she's gonna be like, all right, Tom Sawyer. Funny story about this book is Tom Sawyer's the main character. No. Huckleberry Finn and his not Huckleberry Finn. There we go. Yeah, and it's different, but he's not okay. But I know he has a black friend because we've been talking about it for 2 weeks out on the playground because of the word that he's called. But anyway, so the next time that she's doing that, just envision that fifth grader when she starts going the passage of time or I view a future unburdened by the past. Like only people really, really high on mushrooms would say that shit and it would make sense. That's the only population that gets that particular phrase. And she said it 1,000 times. So
we didn't have this video prepared, but since you brought that up, keep David's little memory device in mind there about a fifth grader that didn't read the book given a book report, and listen to how Kamala Harris talks about AI.
And I think the first part of this issue that should be articulated is AI is kind of a fancy thing. It's, first of all, it's 2 letters. It means artificial intelligence. But ultimately what it is it's about machine learning. And so the machine is taught. And part of the issue here is what information is going into the machine that will then determine, and we can predict then, if we think about what information is going in, what then will be produced in terms of decisions and opinions that may be made through that process.
So there you go, folks.
I can't say she was wrong on any of it, but I can't say that I know what the fuck she was talking about either.
Exactly. That's the point of the fifth grader on a book report thing. The things they're saying are not incorrect. They're just not saying anything.
But you can see she's like reading the room like, am I doing okay? Is it? It is artificial intelligence, right? I didn't it's not Apple iTunes, right?
So yes, roundly reviled by her own voters in the 2020 primaries, lowest approval rating of any vice president in U.S. history. And yet somehow, on the turn of a dime, she is essentially the reincarnation of Obama. And everybody needs to love her. And she's like the smartest, most well-versed, wittiest, best candidate for president we've probably ever had. Well, she also, while she was in the Senate, she had the most liberal voting record by a long shot. And if you were ever in doubt of that, here's her recently talking about who's going to be the wokest.
You know, we have to stay woke. Like everybody needs to be woke. And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke. Yeah.
I know an uncomfortable laugh, and
Look at the faces. I mean, you can't see the lady on the left's face, but this not impressed. Not impressed right here.
Nope. Color me not impressed at all.
And again, this is the person that the media has completely circled the wagons for to tell you that she's the best candidate that's ever been put forward, and you're probably a racist and sexist and insert other buzzword here if you don't want to vote for her.
Wait, hold on, Dane. Is it racist if I don't hold someone accountable because of their skin color? Or is it racist to not hold them accountable because of their skin color?
You know, David, it really just depends on the day and whether you're a straight white male, which you are. So
I don't give an opinion.
The answer is yes.
And it's racist. And if I critique anything, it's because I'm racist, of course. It always has to be racist. Or Nazi, which is,
Yeah. So,
1A, 1B.
Again, how? Why? Why did we?
We're not paying attention. No one's paying attention. That's it. That's the only thing that can matter is that no one's paying attention. Because if you had been, you would have at least heard the passage of time, because that was making the rounds a lot back in the day. And then all of a sudden they just felt like, we aren't going to have any more. You don't get any more speaking lines. And then, sure as shit, I mean, here we are. We have the person that didn't they say she was the most liberal senator in all of her? Yeah.
According to her voting record, yes, she was pretty far out there.
Yeah, good.
So again,
how's her prosecutorial record, by the way?
Yeah,
was she a friend of the black people, or was she not such a friend of the black people during that time?
Not a friend of them, not a friend of.
I believe they call them allies, don't they? Allies.
Yeah, not a friend of parents who, ran afoul of truancy laws. She was a big fan of bragging about throwing them in cages if their kids didn't go to school. I mean, because that's an appropriate response, right?
Even Biden said that when he eviscerated her after Tulsi Gabbard had eviscerated her in the first dais or the second dais. Even he said that she presided over the two largest segregated school districts in the United States, being Los Angeles and San Francisco at the time.
Yeah, right. And after she accused him of being racist because he opposed busing.
It's like, what's that Spider-Man meme when it's like they're both pointing at each other? It's like, hey guys.
It's very rare when I agree with both Kamala Harris and Joe Biden.
How did you do that?
But that was one of the instances where I was like, yeah, they both got one right.
You truly are a black magic sorceress.
And as appalling as the media is about, trying to convince everybody that she is, the second coming.
Of what? We don't know, but she is.
Celebrities are doing no better in the sort of intelligence department on this topic. We have a video here from Ben Stiller, which again, file this under why can't we have nice things category, because just like, the Tenacious D, just like,
by the way,
Arnold with
this is the same Ben Stiller that wrote a movie where a white guy dresses up like a black guy. The same one.
Yes.
The same one.
I
love Tropic Thunder, and I get the whole, like, that's what it was, a kind of poking Hollywood in the eye, because Hollywood would do that kind of shit, do the whitewashing, like instead of just hiring a black actor. I'm explaining the joke, and you shouldn't do that ever, but anyway, that's
my job.
Yeah, exactly. I get the reference, but it's still like, bear that in mind. And he was willing to go there for a couple of chuckles. So,
and now this is the lowest form that Ben has debased himself to.
I just want to let you know I'm going to match your $150,000 donation. Everybody's got to get out and vote and donate. And she's also a historic candidate. It's going to be the first woman president. And that's incredibly exciting. And, she's Indian, she's black, she's everything. You can be more than one thing. It's incredible. I'm Jewish and Irish. I wish I was black. Every white Jewish guy wishes he was black. It's just get out there and vote and donate and take advantage. This is such an important time right now. And this wave of energy that's happening, we got to keep going with it. So please do everything you can.
And I guess I get that Ben Stiller's not a podcaster, and I know what he's doing there. He's just like finding stuff in the moment to try to go with. But what did you see that I didn't see, Dane?
It reminds me a lot of those ISIS beheading videos.
Go on, Dane. Hot take. Here we come.
Like, it almost seems forced in the sense that, like, he doesn't want to say this. He doesn't even really believe it, but there's just so much internal and external pressure on him to say it because of the industry that he's in, and again, you hear this sometimes with some celebrities and stuff like that. It's like, oh, you risk being blackballed if you say the wrong thing. Right. You're not going to get movie roles or whatever. But that obviously doesn't apply to Ben. Like, he's made his money. He is who he is. He's unblackballable.
Hollywood elite.
Yeah. So, but it's just like, and I guess it really just boils down to this, right? Sometimes we've heard people say, well, it doesn't matter. Like, everybody stops maturing in high school. So even if you have adults in whatever context, whatever setting it is, there's still the high school cliques, and there's still the bullies and the nerds, and there's still all this kind of stuff. And what sits at the bottom of that is a very reptilian brain aspect of human nature, which is the desire to be liked. Above all else, you will make yourself look however you need to. You'll say whatever needs to be said. You'll do whatever needs to be done, just so you can be liked. And that makes sense from an evolutionary perspective, right? That's what it's manifested in today, but it makes sense from an evolutionary perspective because at bottom, we are social animals, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're in 10,000 BC, a death sentence is to be ostracized from the group. Because if you're out on that safari by yourself, you're going to be some lion's lunch. There is strength in numbers. So we evolved to be a group thinking type species, to go along, to get along, to make sure you stay in the group because that's where you're safe. And you fast forward into the 21st century, that still is a reptilian brain that's going on with people like this and doing that kind of thing. He's a Hollywood elite. The consensus opinion around there is everything that just came out of his mouth, and he refuses to think critically or for himself, and he's just going to regurgitate whatever it takes to make sure that he stays in the in crowd, that he's liked, that he's accepted. It's kind of sad, really, that humans can't break out of that, even though, like I said, we're evolutionary hardwired for it.
Yeah. I think the thing that I got out of it was like the joke that I cracked a couple of episodes ago that you might have stomped on.
It happens
from time to time. Was that the Democratic Party seems to be getting exactly what they want. They want to abolish racism by making it the thing that they use to select their candidates. They want to make sure that there's equal pay for everybody by only selecting those that have no Y chromosome, because those are the important things. He didn't mention her leadership. He didn't mention her intelligence. He just mentioned both of her ethnic backgrounds and that she's a woman. And it's very exciting. And we need to ride this wave of excitement.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What part of that means she's going to be a good fucking leader for this goddamn country, which is what this is supposed to be? It feels like we keep forgetting that this person, this popularity contest that we're having for the entire country is going to be running it for 4 years, and what they do matters. But you're using such baseless fucking information as their ethnic background and their sex. That's what made her the candidate to choose.
Yeah. And I mean, even worse than that, as we sit here and record this on, August 9th, 2024. Now, I haven't checked in a couple days. I don't do it daily. But as of 48 hours ago, Kamala Harris's official campaign website still has not a single policy on it. Not one. Now, when you take that into account with the fact that she is protected at every turn by the media, she doesn't take what Donald Trump did just a couple weeks ago, going to that black media conference, knowing full well he's going to get hostile questions left, right, and center. She would never do that. In fact, they had a scheduled debate that was to be moderated by Fox News, and she backed out of it. So, the idea that she would ever get a hostile question or have to, have her feet held to the fire, and as she had to do in the Democratic primary in 2020, and she came out not exactly smelling like a rose. So her handlers have learned this, that when she just wants to ramble on about being unburdened by the past or the fact that AI is 2 letters and it stands for artificial intelligence or whatever, other than that, she can't be made to defend her positions, because her position is whatever is the popular thing that's going to get her the most votes. Because at the end of the day, it's not about policy. It's not about doing what's best for the American people. It's about getting elected, getting power, and then expanding and or retaining that power. That's it. That's her North Star. That's her modus operandi.
Well, I don't have too much more to say on the subject, but like I said, and I think, I'll answer my own question about the Ben Stiller thing. The reason that they're not, I'll answer that for them, because God knows they won't answer it themselves. The Democratic Party. The reason they don't say anything else about her other than the fact that she's a black woman and that she's really, really cool is because there isn't anything else to say about her. Every time that they try to bring up her past, there's some kind of fuckery that went on that
she's burdened by it.
She's burdened by it. That's why she envisions the future of
being unburdened by it. Yeah.
And she keeps watching the passage of time, and maybe people will forget with passage of time, because we forget that sometimes time passes, but it doesn't literally pass it. But it does kind of. I've said too much.
Yeah.
Unburdened.
So just for a nice little side by side, this is a great X account if you're not following. I'm forgetting the @ it might just be @ MRC off the top of my head, but MRC, that's this little bulldog logo up here. Not sure who's behind the X account, but it doesn't really matter because they're not trying to mislead you. And you know this because they will, as we often do on this show, a lot, but get banned for it on YouTube. Because they just share the mainstream media in their own words for you and lets them, the mainstream media, fight it out with each other and let you, the viewer, say some fuckery is afoot. So anyway, here's about 1 minute and 12 seconds of the media saying that Kamala is one thing, but then also not that thing. And you'll never guess what the dividing point was between them between doing a 180 on what she is versus what she isn't.
Quote unquote border czar. Vice President Harris was not a border czar.
Meantime, Vice President and border czar Kamala Harris facing some backlash.
What he said about Harris and immigration was not true. She was never appointed border czar.
And this will be her first visit to the U.S.-Mexico border region since she was appointed as the border czar by President Biden.
People gonna have to counter the misinformation. You already hear folks talking about the border czar. She wasn't the border czar.
President Biden tapped Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, to be the border czar.
Now, she wasn't the border czar. That's what Republicans labeled her.
They were very critical of Kamala Harris, especially in her role as border czar.
Now what she's up against is folks lying about her border record, calling her a border czar.
Kamala Harris, who was appointed as the border czar.
The Biden team didn't declare her the border czar. They wanted her to work on kind of the root causes of immigration.
There has been so much criticism against Kamala Harris. You know, she was the border czar.
Calling her sort of the border czar, which wasn't necessarily the case.
So the border, if they weren't planning to address it in a major way, do not make her your border czar. She met with some of the Northern Triangle countries, but nothing has effectively changed.
So for you audio-only listeners, what that was, what you just heard, because the whole banner across the top that shows the before and after Biden dropped out of the race, if you don't see that, it might be kind of lost on you. That was a series of clips from CNN, MSNBC, ABC, all the mainstream media sources that are, the purveyors of established opinion that you're supposed to trust and believe. And if you're not, you're like an anti-science, conspiracy theorist denier.
Like us.
Yeah, like us. You watch and listen to Weapons of Meme Destruction. And by the way, the @ on that for X is @Newsbusters. Is the @. So definitely go give them a follow. But anyway, that's what you heard. You heard a whole bunch of before Biden dropped out, she is the border czar. He gave her the title border czar, border czar, border czar, border czar. And then when he drops out, she's not, she never was, it's crazy. Like you're, again, right-wing conspiracy theorist if you think that she was the border czar, et cetera, et cetera. So,
well, it's just so funny to me, Dane, that after the 4 years that we've had after COVID, we've said things that were right. We said right things, and we got banned for it.
We said all the right things.
We said right things.
David, hold the mug up.
I got the wrong goddamn mug. The other one says we're right and fuck you if you haven't been here. If this is your first time. Buy it online. Shop on our store. Anyway, but no, that's the point, is that they make us so accountable for our words, which is going to bleed nicely into this next segment, Dane. I hope you realize this big, fat, juicy bowl of foreshadowing that I'm making you. It's just so funny to me that we have said things in the past that were right, and we've been banned off of YouTube and stricken to the point where we've almost lost our YouTube channel, which I don't know if you guys know, but this shit doesn't pay for itself. It comes out of somewhere. So I'll just leave it at that. These fuckers on MSNBC can say the wrong thing on one day or the right thing on one day and then say the complete exact opposite thing the next day and act like they never said the other thing the day before. Yeah. What does that sound like to you, Dane? Does it sound like a book that we read back in high school?
Yeah, it sounds exactly like that. It's that famous line from 1984, quote, "The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. And if all others accepted the lie, if all records told the same tale, then the lie passed into history and became truth." And boy, wouldn't they like that to be the case about Kamala. They would like the history to be she was just neck and neck with Biden in that 2020 primary and he just barely edged her out. They would like history to be she was never actually the border czar. They would like history to be she had the highest approval ratings of any vice president. They don't give a fuck about safe and
effective, though. They'll just keep saying that shit.
They don't want the history to be anything about her prosecuting parents for truancy or fighting the release of a clearly innocent defendant that she fought to keep in jail. She doesn't want, or they don't want any history to talk about her trying to keep prisoners in California prisons for the cheap labor. None of that stuff.
Yeah.
None of that stuff do they want to be a part of her true history. And they are fighting tooth and nail to make sure that you forget it. But fortunately for Newsbusters, for Weapons of Meme Destruction, for other independent media and podcasts like ours, there was at least a few of us still shouting into the void, trying to tell you that no, your eyes and ears are not deceiving you. It is the people that claim to have your best interests in mind that are doing exactly that.
Mic drop. And maybe they should drop the mic every now and again. What would it look like? What would
if
it
they
look
just
like
shut the fuck up?
if they just fucked off for a month? Do you think this country would be better or worse off, Dan?
Absolutely be better.
I'll give you one amenity. Both sides have an equal say on the nightly news. That's it. You get 30 minutes. 30 minutes, both things. Tell me what happened today. That's it. No 24-hour news cycle. No Ryan Stelter acting like he's... I don't know what you ever said about that. Or I never said that. Fuck him. No Cuomo, no Lemon. Actually, the deuce is loose, just to give him an honorable shout out. Did you see the press secretary? What's her name? KVJ or whatever?
Jean-Pierre or something.
Yeah, whatever. She's like, to Peter Ducey, she goes, haven't seen you in a while. He goes, you guys haven't held a press conference since your president dropped out of the race. Like, fuck you. Like, haven't you learned yet? You're not going to outdo the deuce. Like, he's going to get you. Because he keeps receipts, but I don't know. That's literally the only thing that I've seen on either side that's been actually entertaining and worthwhile to have on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild out there, kids. But like I said, don't let them gaslight you. Because if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile in that regard. They will tell you that the sky is I don't know. Anything
Red.
other than blue.
It's going to be burning in no time. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah, they'll make damn sure of that. So, yeah, just keep your wits about you. And if you can't keep your wits about you, just stay tuned in to WMD podcast and we'll keep you straight on the straight and narrow. So
we'll keep your tits about you.
Yeah. So, David,
sir,
I think that's all we got on Queen Kamala for the week.
Yeah, but there's something else, isn't there? There's something else that's eating at you, Tish. What might that be, Dane?
Just, just the general malaise that is, human existence at this point in time. Thanks in large part to these people that we just spent this episode talking about. So,
well, is there anything going on in Great Britain that we need to discuss or anything like that?
I mean, just your typical riots and stuff when, the politicians open the borders for everybody from all over the world to come in and colonize your country, which is really quite funny, right? Because
they were the colonizers
thing to do
at
is
first,
call
weren't they?
everybody else the colonizers, and now
that's
now they're
fun how
turning
you
around
do
on.
that.
Although, on the other hand, then they'll say, well, that's why we shouldn't feel sorry for the UK or the Western world because they did it, so now it's being done to them. Blah blah blah. But somehow there's this crazy thing that I have this like weird moral compunction about. Don't punish people today for things that they played no part in like centuries ago. It's that same kind of thing, right? With reparations here in the US. It's like we need to tax or steal money from everybody else who isn't in this specific demographic because that other group of people benefited, when it's like I'm sitting here thinking, well, I know my dad's side came over in like the early 1900s. And my grandma's side was here in like the 1880s. So after all the bad stuff happened, and we grew up, poor farmers from, not poor, middle-class farmers from Nowheresville, Kansas, blah, blah, blah.
Speak for yourself.
And I'm supposed to believe that my specific lineage that played no part in any of that stuff, and that I didn't, come in with a silver spoon in my mouth.
Yeah, Dane.
I'm supposed to pay the price for the sins of people just because they happen to have the same skin tone as me 150 years ago.
Never mind that constitution that said all men were
wild.
created equal. You're created with original sin of being racist, Dane. Enjoy that.
Yeah, exactly.
You fucking privileged bitch.
So, when these politicians do things like that, sometimes you might get some backlash. When, now speaking for the UK, not that the United States seems to be that far behind them. If the people of that country that have been there for, multiple generations are seeing a policy play out in a way that lowers their material well-being, their standard of living. It doesn't have to be explicitly immigration. It could be any policy, but a policy which is very clearly and explicitly making their way of life worse than it was, or than it was for their parents or their grandparents. There's going to be at least a small section, which may grow into a large section of that society, which is upset by that and has something to say about it. And if you are the government that, rather than take that feedback and be like, you know what, okay, maybe this policy wasn't well thought out, or maybe we didn't expect all of the knock-on effects that we're now experiencing. Let's reassess the policy. If instead of doing that, your first inclination is jail these people, shut them down, cancel them, do whatever it takes to shut these people up, you might be a piece of shit, tin pot, wannabe dictator tyrant. Just throwing that out there. Just a smidgen.
If you don't want to listen to people's critiques, we're not equals then, are we? And the power isn't given to you by me anymore, is it? Until you have to remind them. And again, I'll just leave it at this. If you don't like that statement that you said, you can't feel bad for them because they did it in the first place. They were the colonizers. Well, that is true. They were the colonizers. And how they colonized was that they were really good at doing really horrible shit. So if you keep pushing a good man and keep pushing a good man, he will eventually end up having to push you back. And you might not like it. That's all I'll say.
pretty well versed in doing horrible shit.
We know how to fuck shit up. Like, don't get it twisted. So anyway, Dane, is that about it?
Think so.
All right. Where can they find this episode 206 of Weapons of Meme Destruction podcast?
You can find this episode at wmdpodcast.com/206. They can find the audio only on any podcast catcher. Just search Weapons of Meme Destruction. They can get the video on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, and X. Definitely check down below all these videos for the link to our merch store, our Bitcoin wallet to donate Bitcoin to us. You can find ways to donate to us monthly or one time at wmdpodcast.com on the Support Our Work tab. You can sign up for our email list to always stay in contact with the show while you're over there on the website, which you should definitely do. But all of those things aside, just a simple like, subscribe, share, jumping in the comments, telling friends and family about us, spreading the sane space via word of mouth is, it's worth its weight in gold. We'll also take literal gold, but if you do the big metaphorical gold
I'll come out
things.
in a prospector outfit. Oh, there's gold in there, them trees there. Anyway, sorry.
In the trees or the hills, David?
They can be anywhere. Gold can be anywhere, Dane.
Pretty sure gold doesn't grow on trees.
Well, it's fucking in rivers, I'll tell you that much. That's the craziest. Why is it in fucking mountains and then all of a sudden rivers? I know it's fucking runoff. I get it. Shut up. Anyway.
So if you like what we do here, we appreciate your support and everything you do to help us grow. So that being said, we'll see you on 207.
Yeah, make us grow, y'all. Get us real big. And anyway, with all that being said, thank you for sticking around this long if you have. And we'll see you next week. And until then, stay safe. But more importantly, stay free.